Matt Bell, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me on the 12th of the 1st, 26, if that date actually means anything.
Well, all life is temporary, but it's joyous. Yes, it's lovely to see you again.
Yeah, really good, Matt.
For
Really good.
inviting me on.
Yes, really good. So I just wanted to start tonight just by just saying about Rory Duff. Rory Duff passed away.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
he
didn't know
passed
that.
on. Yeah, I just wanted to start by just remembering Rory. Um, Bless the man, and he's gone on to do amazing work elsewhere.
Yes, absolutely. On to the next realm.
Exactly. But I just wanted to say, Rory was a fleeting influence on my life, but he was absolutely incredible. Um, he did come to two Shine seminars. Came to the first one in the summer, and he came to the 2 day at the Green Heart Space. And we also did a meditation at Oliver's Castle together, where his people and the Shine people came together, and there was about 220 people
Wonderful, lovely.
at that meditation. So great work. And if people don't know who Rory Duff is, do look him up. He is a geologist. He's a geomancer, master dowser, and he was forming the language in which the modern day can talk about the dragon lines, the energy lines, the ley lines, as they have been called. But he gave us the lexicon, which a lot of people are using now.
Yeah, he
So
was he, he was really good at sort of marrying science and spirituality in lots of ways,
mm,
because a lot of this stuff was considered not non-scientific, all kind of woo-woo until he came along and actually started studying it and actually taking data and recordings and making all those kind of observations and stuff. And that kind of brought it more into the kind of general awareness for more scientific people. And I really appreciate the fact that he was able to bring those two together,
mm,
and also kind of help people kind of focus more on Gaia, on Earth as well.
yeah,
So yeah, he did great work.
extraordinary man, and we're deeply missed, especially within the Vale of Avalon, where he lived and worked, and lots of his friends were. So I just wanted to say that it's a moment just to celebrate what he's done and to acknowledge that he's given us an amazing amount of strength, and really shown a lot of people how they can work with earth energies very, very simply, quickly, very accessible. He made it very accessible, like you said. So yeah, Rory, what an incredible guy, and I highly encouraged to get. I've got one of his books, which is a kind of it's a manual on how to work with the energy lines, and his network, the sacred network.
Yeah.
People could go on and put the different places that they're working with, different places that they're visiting, and the nodes, as he calls it. So yeah, an amazing thing. And I wasn't expected to talk to you about it tonight, but I think Rory's such a big influence, and he actually, I invited him to the first Shine, and he couldn't make it. So
Right.
he for me personally, the last 5 years, 4 years, 5 years has been, uh, you know, he's definitely been in my energy field a lot. So fantastic work, Rory. Um, we could talk about what his work has been and continues to be for a long time, but I'd like to talk, Matt, about. Well, we could talk for England too. Well, we could talk for the cosmos, but in England. Um, but I was going to ask you, how's the positive living group going?
Well, it's really lovely actually. I'm very lucky. I'm very humble.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful that I've got information from Star Family about how to, how they live on other planets. What's the holistic template look like? What would work good with human energies? And then being able to kind of map that out and put it down on paper in physical, and then share that idea with others, and then just get the feedback. And basically, people have just absolutely run with it, loved it, because it's about helping each individual person work on themselves, but collectively.
Mm.
So we're all individual free thinking, but we're all got skills that we can swap with each other and things like that. And it's that kind of heart-based unity consciousness. So yeah, it's now 2.5 years proof of concept. We've got a community fund that's growing. We're going to get a hub together, physical hub, where we can help people 24/7, and really kind of just help people come out of that sort of matrix kind of control grid and come into more of a divine kind of natural way of being. And it's a kind of helping people free up their thinking and not feel so limited. And in fact, actually kind of expanding people's consciousness so that they become limitless. And then in that, they find their skills, their gifts, their talents, and they kind of work with those and become, start blossoming more and start earning for themselves, becoming more resilient.
Mm.
And of course, we're kind of making lots of friends with other networks like People's Health Alliance and other community groups locally. But the kind of idea is that you create a community locally with a bunch of people in your community.
Yeah.
And if you kind of get those basics like, community, health, enterprise, lawfulness, and resources all together, you can help each other rather than feed the kind of machine that's enslaving people. So this kind of new way of thinking is the sort of evolution of consciousness. It's not about kind of philosophy or dogma. It's about just what works well for people and what makes them thrive. So you're getting religious people coming out of the religious system, going more spiritual. You're getting technical people who are not spiritual at all, but kind of wanting something different. You're getting all walks of life coming into that more holistic way of thinking, more expanded and
Mm.
more progressive, because a lot of people get stuck in those little eddies of rah, 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 against the system, and the system thrives on you fighting it. So
Mm.
the best policy is to channel those energies into something positive and more progressive for yourself, but also for your environment and the people around you.
Mm.
And doing that in a way that's kind of taking away conflict, being a bit more cerebral about things,
Mm.
being a bit more empathetic and kind, and just kind of sharing resources. So yeah, it's just, I mean, every week we have a community call, either with the members one week or the public next week, and getting lovely feedback, getting new members joining. And I think it's just a kind of people are looking for some alternative now that's not, institutions, that's not governance from elsewhere. And things, communities like positive living communities, they're kind of helping people to, you know, get control of their lives more and kind of thrive and be happy, and also kind of have more support and resources. So yeah, I could waffle on for ages about it, but it's just a joy every week meeting people who've got that holistic, more expanded kind of perception of where we can go in the future, and actually doing it now. It's not about the future. It's actually taking charge and doing it in the present and changing your lives up for the better.
Mm. So it's interesting because um, it's funny, isn't it, how we go in waves of public awareness within ourselves. Obviously, myself being an event organizer, and the last 2 years, the Shine Seminars hasn't done much really, partly because I've been unwell, and partly because I've gone very in. I've done a lot of inner work, and that's kind of where we need to
It's
be.
hard. It's hard work doing that stuff.
It is. And interesting enough, I mean, I'll talk about the Shine a little bit because it's definitely worth your audience and my audience knowing what's happening. But uh, we can actually launch our new website today, believe it or
Ooh, brilliant.
not. And we couldn't have launched it yesterday. Dan and I and Amanda and Sarah have been just gently moving it on, and just getting it feeling right, actually, looking and feeling right. And it's very simple. It's a very simple site. There's no complications with it. Um, but what it's shown me is the progression, because we have a past events page, and all we've done is just scanned in the flyers. That's it. Um, and last year we did three events last year, which is great. We did obviously the August Lionsgate in Westbury on Severn. We did Stanton Drew, um, and we did Crops Not Shops.
Oops, yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't really do any other events. I I'm feeling that there are some fantastic events going on now. Um, I'm working on land projects, and growing projects, and we're releasing our information about our the Heritage Healing Trust. We've got a trust that's being set up,
Excellent.
which is called the Heritage Healing Trust, which is part heritage and part healing. Obviously, that's why I've chosen the name, but it's a hub based, it's a land based project.
Great.
But what's interesting, Matt, is Amanda and I have been working very hard for the last 18 months, since May 1st, 2024, looking at different projects on the land. And it's interesting how, like you were saying, there's almost a demarcation between those people who are running away from the system and those people who are running towards their own system. If you can put it that way.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because there are people out there who really want to form community, but they haven't quite got on that path of being holistic. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you use the word dogma. They're for us, we've known each other for a while, and within our communities, I feel there's a gnosis alignment. There's an alignment. It's a truth frequency, and a lot of people are still in the dogma, and they still want to be told what to do, or they still want a blueprint or a hymn sheet to kind of sing off, and that's fine. But it's difficult when you want to form communities to actually get a common unifying theme, or something. I mean, I've lived in three different collective communes, if you want to call them that, and the only one that really worked was the Krishna community in Bhagavad Gita Manor. And it's very easy to live together when you're all just in the Krishna consciousness, because you just think about Krishna all the time. Really simple. But when you take that element away, and you're left with a kind of secular, if you want to call it that way, or even a new age environment, it's difficult for people to gel.
Yes.
So what we've done with the Heritage Healing Trust is we've gone for the healing. So healing is the fundamental retreat space that we're going to create. So it's based on people coming there, and everybody will know that it's a healing environment. And then we're going to do the heritage, which is heritage plants, vegetables, animals,
Brilliant.
husbandry, traditional skills, and go back to obviously pre kind of industrial ways of living. So it's an interesting time, because I've not been out there as such. I've been very focused and looking at land and projects. I'd love to come to a meeting, because I've not been to a meeting.
Yeah, come on a call.
Yeah,
We've got one on Wednesday, so I'll send you a link.
yeah. I'd love for some of our people to come along to your calls as well.
Please
And
do, yeah.
I'll put the details of your links in the description when we're done. But I think for me, the energy at the moment is we have to be very focused on what we're doing. I know there are a lot of people who are having, a difficult time aligning with themselves and not being distracted. And I think it's really important more than ever to find that co- contemplation space,
Absolutely.
thinking space, a space where you can just be with yourself and not have to address anything on the outside. And I don't. It is hard because there is so much external noise,
Yeah.
and the key thing is to actually ignore all that noise as much as you possibly can. But it is difficult. The kind of truth and movement's moved on. And for me, it feels like it's embedded in some places, and in some places it's quite disparate.
For me,
So
I see it as kind of, we've gone through that whole history of religion and superstition and taking things that God has done and using God's message for this, that, and the other. So we've gone through that kind of religious consciousness, but then we've also gone through the scientific now, past that, which is the kind of, analyze physics, analyze nature, and stuff like that. But we've also gone past that in a way as well. We've merged the two, and in some ways, those are all right. Those are fine. Those, whatever reality you perceive is your reality, and that's fine.
yeah,
But we've also kind of understood them as having their own issues that create conflict and stuff. But we've moved beyond that, and so in some ways, the new sort of, I wouldn't say it's new. It's just an evolution of the way things are from the previous iterations. Is to kind of think, well, actually, it's not about any specific route or pathway. It's about what works and what people need to thrive, and that doesn't necessarily involve religion or politics, or it just involves being human and doing nice and good things
yeah,
with others. And so this kind of new consciousness, like you say, we've gone past the truth movement as well, because
yeah,
even a lot of those people have realized even that's a psyop to analyze all the psyops,
yeah,
because you'll then find things to be discordant with, like,
yeah,
and we know that there's a lot of darkness in the world, but there's also just as equally as much light, because they're both aspects of the same thing.
yeah,
And so it's just about helping people change their kind of focus so that their sort of subjective reality becomes more pleasurable rather than that sort of focus on the lack. It's about kind of saying, well, hey guys, there's abundance everywhere. You're literally walking on
yeah,
medicine
yeah,
all around you,
yeah,
and you could, it's, dandelions more, 1,000 times more powerful than chemotherapy and things like that. So
yeah,
when people start kind of opening up and becoming limitless, they start to see all these things that have been hidden from them in that controlled perception management.
yeah,
And so it's lovely. People start finding their way, their light, their calling, the things that interest them, that are new to them. And so it's really, there's no dogma or kind of ethos other than just treating people with kindness and love,
yeah,
and really, sharing what you've got with them, because they've got stuff to share with you, that you can work off each other. And it's really as simple as that in
yeah.
some ways,
I
you know.
think at the moment I've got lots of stuff going on. There's massive amounts of stuff going on, and for me at the moment, it's like people. I really hope that a lot of people who've been around us and our wider community and the people that we associate with um, understand that we do co-create what's going on. I think that's like a major, major message.
Yes.
And I'm meeting people now outside, especially in some of the land hubs. There's a couple of hubs that I'm in where people are wanting to buy land, and they still feel that life acts on them. And actually, once you change that paradigm where it's like, well, you can, you know,
Works in your favor, actually, the
well, yeah,
universe.
you can completely change that paradigm around, and be the creator. At the moment, I'm very much, when people say to me, I've got two teenage girls that are in my energy field at the moment that I talk to a little bit, and they're very much like, well, we don't know what to do. And I said, look, just follow your passion,
Yeah.
just literally be happy, keep your frequency high, be happy, because that is a protective force to be happy. you can get a long way by being really happy, and follow what you really want to do. Just follow that passion, because if you follow that passion, it will manifest itself right in front of you. And I think what I'm
Absolutely.
seeing with a lot of the younger people is they're so tuned. They're very, very different to when I was a teenager in the 80s. They actually can break through the veil a lot. It's like we're in 0 point. They're in 0 point, but they don't really know it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like they
Yeah.
can just do things. And I think that some of these darker energies that are pushing them to do certain things are doing that because they are so powerful. The younger generation are so powerful, and if anybody's following their passion at the moment, they're doing well, and that is the way forward. So
Absolutely.
it's an interesting. We have talks. I mean, I talk to people at the Shine about, and within our group, about trying to bring young people along, and actually they've got their own thing going on, and we can't really do anything for them, but just keep the elders in good spirit, so that we kind of they see us in a really good vibe and really happy, and growing and being productive and being really positive, and that's good enough for them.
Yes.
That's good enough for their parents, friends of parents, elders, if you want to call them, actually, oh yeah, they're doing all right. Yeah, that's good. I can, and actually seeing them as a good example. Um, you know, it's very reassuring to see how resilient these children are, and how, I mean, they're here to do great work, and actually, they know it. They just don't know it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
living it.
They, I
But
mean, they also they're so savvy as well.
yeah,
They collectively pick up all the sort of adult stuff in their field, and then they kind of analyze that and value that as to what's priority and stuff like that.
yeah,
And a lot of kids are kind of no nonsense, really. They'll see kind of they'll be aware of, say, psychological issues or mental health issues, or they'll be aware of kind of financial issues, or they're a lot more kind of aware of their parents' situation and their situation psychologically than, say, our generation was.
yeah,
So there is a lot of positive things coming, because you see that a lot of young children or young minds are completely on the ball. They've already sussed out kind of the world stage, and are kind of forging their own, like you say, through their own passions. They're forging their own path, and those kind of trailblazers are really worth kind of highlighting to others their own age and stuff like that. And that's one of the things I like about the Shine, actually, is that, and also PLC, that it's family orientated. It's any age, it's the
yeah,
whole population. There's no exclusivity or anything like that. So,
yeah,
and that's what whole holistic life is all about,
yeah,
helping people thrive, really.
yeah,
So yeah, I've got a lot of hope for the youngsters, and yeah, like you say, if you can, as an older person, if you can show them, that you're thriving and overcoming adversity in these current times, then you're kind of setting a dominant frequency in a way, which is joy, which is authenticity, which is childlike wonder, which is love. Those are all right up there at the top of the consciousness kind of levels. So that's the best way of showing kids how to go forwards, really.
it's really, I love the fact that, I mean, I know we've been ambushed, etc., but it's lovely to see children around. It's lovely to see loads of children around, and the DNA of this land is so powerful. It's interesting because, and I'd like to extend this to you and your audience, but on the Shine website we have an articles page, and I want to encourage people to write articles, not big ones, a couple of pictures, a title, and an A4 page type thing. But it's interesting. I've written four. You have to write articles to start your website, don't you? Otherwise,
Yeah.
you've got nothing in the
Yeah,
page.
I've got a few I could put over to you. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
like traits of enlightenment or inner contentment, and then you have like 10 traits that people adopt who are like that.
Yeah.
and sort of various kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I've written four, I've had to write four articles. I wrote three because I needed a minimum of three, but I wrote another one. But one of them is, it's really interesting. You know, sometimes you have these epiphanies about things, and it's suddenly just like, whoa, hold on, that's actually a truth. You know, and I can't see any other solution but that. And one of the things I realized recently is that cities have always been the matrix.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, even monastic cities, principality cities, you know, they are always kind of harvest the people, and they have to live by other people's rules, whether it's God's rules, false God rules, the emperor, you know, the squire, whatever.
yeah.
And in the countryside, they that is not the matrix.
No,
And so, and I wrote an article about it because I suddenly got it, and I was just like, "Oh my god, that is absolutely amazing!" And it makes you realize that truly, people who are going to be, you know, forces within, you know, the new Earth paradigm, as you want, if you want to call it that, are going to be those people who are either incredibly powerful and strong in the city, and
hmm,
actually just be Neo and just like,
yeah,
you know, bat everything,
driving.
or you're going to be in the country, because in the country you can actually be yourself, and
Yes,
you can actually connect to, you know, star family a lot easier, to Mother Earth a lot easier, to your fellow man, to your animals. And I just wrote this little article just saying, you know, it's like in the cities, it's crazy, it's absolutely nuts.
that's so weird that you've had
Yeah,
that because Star Family showed me. If you can imagine, how can I explain this? If you imagine broken glass, so someone's punched glass and it's all shattered. As you get closer to the punch mark, there are smaller and smaller compartments, basically, where the glass is shattered into boxes or little triangles.
yeah,
And so, but as you go further out, those compartments get bigger and bigger. And they said this is basically how consciousness works with people. The closer you get into the city, the more compartments your brain, more boxes your brain puts things into, and the more boxes you have. But the further out you move, you've got bigger boxes with less things in them, and that's your consciousness. So that completely correlates with what
yeah.
you saw, because as you get into these systems, you have to conform more to their rules.
You
But
just
as
do.
you're, yeah,
You haven't got a choice. Even the car
no,
parking in town now is, you don't even have to pay. You don't even, you know, it's like it's a QR code or whatever. There's not even a machine for a card. It's all on the phone, and you have to do it. And you know, I said this about the shine, and I said it at Cops Not Shops twice. The more you live in the country. If you spend a week in the country, you become 100% a different person. You literally become a different person. The more you go back to being in nature, you find your own authentic self. And a lot of people just don't actually have that experience of going back to themselves. And they're in these constructs of the square boxes and the tarmac and the flagstones and the traffic lights, and they're all, like you say, they all put you in little tiny consciousness prisons,
yeah,
keep you in that, you know, when you're driving down the road in Bristol or on a motorway, you've got these, they're all constructs. When you're in nature, you just meander. You
yeah.
just kind of blunder around and wander around, and you know, you can just be in the wonder of nature, and you can find relationships with trees and plants and the sounds of birds and with the wind and with the
It's kind
water.
of an assault, isn't it? When you get into a city, you're being bombarded with beep, 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 and kind of like, you're always kind of, it's like
Yeah,
being in a supermarket as well, all the noises and the sound. It's all designed there to confuse people and keep them in a
yeah,
kind of like susceptible state and stuff like that. So,
yeah,
yeah. And then the more you go out, the more you pick up those natural frequencies again, like bird song,
yeah.
like the wind and the kind of smells and the colors of the coming off the trees or whatever
Yeah.
of nature. So,
It elevates you. It literally just elevates you, and it's interesting. Whenever I think about the Last Shine, and I think about Fleur Baumfather's vastness of being, you know, because she did that talk on the vastness of being, and I spoke to another amazing woman there, Diane, and she came up to me. We were talking about the Shine, and she said, "It's an amazing space you've created here, Laura." And I said, "I think people can actually expand into their true selves when you're in a community which is completely service to others. In effect,
Yeah.
you just become big. You become the full version of yourself. And when you open your heart and you're heart based, and you meet people who are heart based, you become really big. You become like a dragon energy. You're just like really
Yeah,
massive.
because no one's kind of like constraining you. You're with
Mm,
people who are encouraging you to be your authentic self, and
mm,
that's what's so lovely about the Shine and PLC is creating those sacred spaces where people can come into them and be themselves without judgment and
yeah,
have a load of supportive people around them. That's so vital
yeah,
because those are like little islands of trust or
yeah,
little islands of love, you know. Um, and those are only going to expand. Those bubbles are going to expand a sacred space
yeah.
going forward.
Yeah, I think living in the city is for me. I'm going to have to move out of the city. I spoke to a lady who's got a farm down in Devon, and she went, "What, you live in Bristol?" She was like, you actually live in Bristol?" She was absolutely gobsmacked, and I was just like, and I came away, and I was like, "Hold on, why is she so gobsmacked?" And then I was like, "Hold on, she's right. What on earth am I doing living in Bristol? Because it is very artificial,
Yeah,
extremely artificial."
yeah. The cities, they're
Really, really difficult, and they're going to get more and more so. And I think that we'll find more peace within ourselves moving out, and I think there will be more and more communal living projects.
absolutely. I mean, this year we've got some really. So we've got B Airbnb and B, which is.
Yeah,
Have you heard about this?
no, it sounds good.
This is groovy. This is.
Yeah,
It's bee hotels. So you've got beehives under beds and in wooden sheds. And so basically, people can sleep on top of a beehive that's humming at C frequency. So, kind of thing. And that heals people.
yeah,
But also, you can breathe uh, the hive air, which helps people with asthma. So, we're going to have like a whole, I think there's about 4 sheds. So, we're going to have a B and B and B for people to stay overnight.
right,
To
yeah,
and each shed's going to have a name as well. To do some healing for people, and to there's really good results when people have a good night's sleep. It can help their back, it can help posture, or, can help sleep issues. So, and that's just from a lovely friend called Christine who's developing her land in that holistic way. And I said, why don't we have a bee hotel? And she's absolutely run with it. She's now got a beekeeper on the land and bees, and she's growing her food, and she's got horses and stuff.
brilliant.
So, and then that will be able to be offered to the public, so that can fund the community projects, but also at the same time double win, help people heal from
Yeah,
things like asthma and other issues as well. So that's what I love about being in this position is you're not closed to ideas. Some of them can be ancient that can be brought back again, or some of them can be kind of new, completely new, or some of them can be a blend of both, working with the two.
yeah,
So yeah, we've got loads more kind of other stuff coming up this year as well, and it's just a joy to see people talking about the projects that they're doing.
yeah, yeah. There's I mean, with when because we're launching the Heritage Healing Trust soon. But it's really interesting because a lot of our take on what we're doing is going back to kind of 800 AD. It's around that time. St. Gallen, who in Switzerland had a medicinal garden, and also Charlemagne did
Yes,
his capillaries can never say that word capillaries de villas, which was kind of the rules for living. But he also set out incredible sort of reference points for growing ancient vegetables. And, I spend a lot of time at the moment looking at high protein, high yield uh, perennials. Like I'll give you an example, because obviously the agro um, chemical world, the big sort of agricultural industry just does not want self-seeding plants
Oh,
whatsoever.
totally no.
And it's kind of the complete and utter antithesis of what they want. They want fertilizer and water. But I'll give you an example. I was thinking about what my grandma grew. She had a 1939 semi-detached house in Fareham. She had an orchard. The whole road had an orchard. It was all cut because it used to be an orchard on the farm, and then everybody got part of the orchard, and there was pears and apples. But she had rhubarb, and I had a little look at rhubarb, and rhubarb will grow 20 years. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, I've got one in a pot in the garden that's
Yeah.
kind of lounging away.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting if you get it going. Some of these, I mean, things like skirret and aramanth, they literally they self-fertilize. They actually produce their own fertilizer.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely extraordinary, and they just self-seed as well. And a lot of these crops are just not on our dinner plate at all. Things like woad and cardoon, all sorts of incredible vegetables that we just don't see anymore, and they're massively more nutritious than their equivalents. So potatoes, say. Um, I think amaranth you can actually make bread. It's a pseudo grain. You can make bread
Yeah,
out of it.
yeah,
And you can eat every single part of the plant as well. And I feel having a repository of that information, because obviously, within the Shine and within our group, we've got amazing herbalists, foragers, naturopaths. But actually, the awareness of these vegetables is off the charts. I actually bought some Jerusalem artichokes the other day, and obviously you've got to be a little bit careful because they do produce gas.
yeah.
Not great for me, but there are certain ways you can cook them. But if you're eating a crop like that, they're so much more abundant than potatoes. And potatoes, yes, they do self-seed, but they need to be watered. Something like Jerusalem artichoke will just go on and on and on and on and on, and you can literally you can harvest it under the ground, put the soil back, and it'll just carry on growing. It's nuts. Great big huge. I think it produces 3 or 4 times the amount of mass of vegetables than potatoes for the same land. And that's exactly what big agriculture doesn't want.
Yeah,
They don't want us to have these incredible plants. And so I think it's really important to get back to actually truly knowing these plants. And obviously within the group we've got people like Emma Fitchett and Tara who do the plant consciousness, but also Mark and Chris Rowe, who are foragers, and I'm sure you've got foragers down in your group.
yes.
They're incredible people, incredible wisdom keepers. And actually, I think we did a little bit of work on how we could bring younger people together a couple of years ago. It's very difficult. It is very difficult for an older person to, but actually food was the one thing, Matt.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It all went back because somebody was like, "Oh, it's music," and I was like, "Well, no, it's not music, is it? If you're going to sing, and people are going to sing in together, then perfect. But once you start singing other people's songs, once you start bringing in, bands and stuff, it all becomes us and them, kind of proscenium arch audience type dynamic. If you're going to sing like Chloe does, self-empowerment work, and Giles, amazing. But actually, growing the food, harvesting the food, washing the food, cutting the food, eating the food and enjoying it all together was the one thing that actually came out of our discussions. And I think that it's super important to actually maybe just actually get these kind of supper clubs going, where we do come together and experience cooking together.
I completely agree.
I don't think we do enough of it.
No, I mean, for me, I love personally cooking. I think it's a form of alchemy, but with flavors, and I love blending different things of nature together to make really lovely flavors, and people, so sustained and happy and hearty. And it's, if you can kind of bring back all those wonderful heritage varieties, then that's what, because those have still got the nutrition in them.
Yeah.
The grains are all being glyphosated, and you get people now who are purchasing stuff because they're intolerant, but they're not looking at how they got poisoned initially. So they're making money from the intolerant food demographic as well. So it's like a double kind of hit with those companies. They poison you, and then they sell you products to mitigate their poisons and stuff. So it's just nuts, what's going on out there.
Really.
But actually teaching people how, there's loads more in with that as well, because if you're working with nature and stuff and seeing how it all works, I buy my eggs from a guy called Clive in the market, who's old school. He feeds his hens the old-fashioned way, and he gets his chickens to do one thing, then the sheep to follow on, and then the cows follow on after that, something like that.
Yeah.
But his eggs, the flavour is in there, and I'm supporting a local guy who's just organically, if you like, growing, producing eggs and stuff. So, if we can help people sustain themselves in their local environments as well. I mean, my last call with PLC was, I got all my things together that I made, stored last year. So I got loads of crushed eggshells, because I eat eggs every day. So that's good for like anti-slugs or making calcium carbonate. I made apple cider vinegar, 2 bottles. That's really good for sort of antifungal things, or for in foods and things like that.
Yeah.
I made 9 jars of loganberry and raspberry jam.
Nice.
So all these kind of things that
Yeah.
kind of was going through me, these resources, and I thought, hang on a minute, if I could repurpose jam jars, if I could pick the apples from the garden, cut a bit of rosemary, stick it in a bit of oil. So I had started making all these things that I could use for myself, but also then barter or trade with others. That there's no nonsense in it. There's no chemical nonsense,
Yeah.
So it's helping people to become more resilient as well, helping them to work with the land. And as they become more knowledgeable about the things that they're working with, then they can start making and producing the things that help sustain them even more, and selling or trading them. So it's kind of like an upward spiral.
Yeah.
One thing helps another thing.
Yeah. It's a there's been a like a real upsurge in kind of authentic consciousness. We are moving into a unity consciousness 100%. And I can't name any names about people that I'm working with at the moment, because it's not for me to mention it, but there are 3 or 4 people who are doing incredible work on the land, but they're actually, they are missing a trick. They really are missing a trick, because they're still producing modern vegetables,
Right.
and it is in itself, it is a psyop that
Yes.
it really is. And all the vegetables that are grown pretty much are designed for machines harvesting them. Almost all of
Absolutely.
them.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to harvest skirret, for instance, and Jerusalem artichokes as well. En masse. You need things to be,
In
square,
their rows.
round,
Yeah.
rectangle, rows is like, whatever, but they need to be uniform. And then you can get a machine to it's always been the way with, in the Southwest, certainly, that we know that we're going to go back to, self-harvesting, pick your own, supporting local growers, supporting, veg box schemes and stuff, and actually going back to that. And I think once we kind of get into that space, I personally think, you remember there was the paleo thing a few years ago.
Oh yes, yes.
Well, I think we are seeing, in the grain market, in bread, we are seeing ancient seeds. You can see that
Right.
ancient grains. So people are starting to use that in their multi-seed bread and their different grains. Sourdough didn't even exist really a few years ago, did it?
No, no.
Not really, and that's really come on. And I think that move. I think there will be a huge kind of expansive opening for these heritage vegetables to come on board again.
I totally agree.
I think it's going to happen. It's going to
Huge,
happen.
huge return to authenticity,
Yeah,
to things that are intrinsic, that have kept humanity going for thousands and thousands of years.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
that are, you know, tried and tested. That's their kind of why they worked, because they've been around for thousands of years. So we can return to those things that are still here but not prevalent
yeah.
because it's been manipulated. You know, the better. And I do see actually even that evolving onto things like social media, because you'll be kind of getting people migrating to more real people, more authentic people, just being themselves rather than the slick, you know, commercial, the sort of hustle, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. People are going to get bored of all that fake, shallow
I think they have already, Matt.
stuff, and they just want some real people
Yeah,
speaking about their real lives and
yeah.
going on those adventures with them, you know. So
I
I
looked.
think it's going to happen.
There's a guy. I don't know whether you've seen him. He's an old boy who grows massive vegetables. Have you seen him? It's so funny. He had a meme done about him. He had some cabbages, some red cabbages, and I think it was Yves Saint Laurent and Gucci have got hold of him because he was getting so many hits.
Oh, really?
He's just this old boy, and he's got this little, back garden food forest, and they made him a red cabbage fleece and hat to kind of to get their name out. It's kind of guerrilla advertising, but he was there with his cabbage cut in half, and it had the Yves Saint Laurent cabbage fleece, and it was just brilliant. But his story is massive. And I saw there's a guy called Grow Veg who's got 1 million subscribers, and he does have a very accessible style of presentation. And he talks very, very slowly about how he grows his things. He's got a lovely little plot. And he could be on telly. He's that good at presenting. But he interviewed this old boy, and the old boy was saying that he put up a video and he got 90,000 hits straight away.
Wow.
Because he was literally just going, look at my cabbage. This is how I grow it, and it was just really from the heart. It's like, whoa. And that's a great human story. But actually, I think people realize that, because I converted my garden into I've got raised beds and stuff, and I don't really have enough time to do it. And I do get potatoes every year, and I grow a few bits and pieces. But I'd love to just go out and grow continually all the time. I'd love it to actually be my life.
Full time job.
It'd just be fantastic. But this guy is just the food thing gives people hope in a world where we're so reliant on the machine. For him to go out into his garden and go, well, I just sit here and I get these tubes and I grow carrots and they're this big, and they're growing about this high, and I've got a tube. And,
I love people like that.
It's just absolutely brilliant. And he grows all sorts of stuff. He's off the chart. And yeah, you're right. That kind of real authentic story, people love it.
There's one guy I follow who just carves spoons. He just finds bits of old wood and carves spoons.
Yeah,
that's all he does. But he does it really well, and he's really nice. So you just think he's an authentic person. He's doing his spoon thing. So fair enough.
Yeah. It's great. It's really exciting times. This is a great fireside conversation we're having, Matt, in the middle of, well, it's not the middle of winter anymore, but it still feels pretty wild out there. It's pretty cold. I don't know what it's like down where you are, but
yeah, it's pretty frosty. Although I can kind of hear Gaia rust stirring.
Yeah,
you can hear, and I actually think the energies are going to be really powerful this year.
Massive.
Well, because I'm feeling them already.
Yeah.
It's like I'm getting spring, but it's not even. We've got a couple of months at least to go, but I'm getting that smell in the air. It's really difficult to explain.
Well, it's interesting because last year I tuned in with the energies of the dark moon, and it's the first time I've done that. Because I'll just tell you, it's a bit of a druidic thing. It's definitely a pagan sort of natural thing. But we've kind of the psyop of celebrating the full moon, and it is a psyop. I'll tell you
Yes.
now.
No.
People are like, oh yeah, let's celebrate the full moon. And I'm not saying you shouldn't celebrate the full moon, but the celebration of the full moon is the culmination of all your intention work on the previous month. That's actually how it works. And if you just go out and celebrate the full moon, you're mad. You're crazy because you're just celebrating a full moon. Now, the moon's energy is the reflection of the sun's energy. So it's not the sun's energy. So that's really powerful in itself. So the day before new moon is the dark moon, and there is no light from the moon. And
Right.
that is the womb of creation that day. That is the womb of creation. It is the void. And really and truly, everyone's intention work, manifestation work, should be over those 3 days leading up to the new moon and including the new moon. And that whole setting what you're going to do for the next month should happen in the dark moon. People don't talk about the dark moon. They do talk about the new moon, but they don't talk about the dark moon. And that's the day before. Yeah. And I remember Maria Wheatley saying to me, a lot of people who do ceremony, um, they don't understand that it's the day before that counts.
Yeah.
It's actually leading the energy leading up to that moment. So if you're setting out to do some manifestation work and intention work, do it in the dark moon. Do it in the new moon. Celebrate what you're going to do. Be really, really high frequency about what you want to put out in the world and what you want to create. And then at the end of the lunar month, when the full moon's out, have a little celebration. Be inward. Really and truly with the full moon. It's like I don't go out, Matt.
No. Well, there's a reason why they're called lunatics,
Yeah,
or there's
yeah.
lunatic
I mean,
asylums.
the last time that I wasn't aware, because I became aware of the moon's energy not that long ago, 5 years ago or so, really, even 4 years ago. But I think 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, even, I crashed one of my vehicles on a full moon,
I'm
and
not surprised.
and I'd
Yeah.
just forgotten that it was full moon,
Right.
and so I'm really, really conscious of when the full moon is, and I try not to go out. I
Did you know
actually.
that the moon's light is colder than its shadow?
Mm,
If you get a temperature gauge and you put it into the moon light, it'll
mm,
be colder than if you put it into the moon's shadow.
mm,
And so there's a certain frequency that comes off that light,
yeah,
and it can trip people
yeah.
to flip out, and stuff like that. So I think yeah, it's just to, like you say,
Yeah.
in the darkness, all that's where the seed of ideas are accepted. That's where the motions of the womb of the universe are are churning. I wouldn't say churning. Are
It's
always in
formulating, isn't it?
flux.
It's
Yeah,
forming. It's material.
forming. That's it. Emerging. If
Yeah,
you
emerging.
if you put your intention into that, and then it blossoms when the full moon comes out, when the
Yeah,
new moon comes out. So
yeah.
um, so yeah, I think absolutely. Put the intention in there, let it seed, and then give it that
Have a
day.
really have a celebration after that's all happened.
Yes.
I feel that's really important because a lot of people this year, and I didn't celebrate New Year this year. Um, it's another psyop. April Fools is a psyop too. But it was really interesting this year that people were saying, I'm not going to celebrate New Year. That's the first time within my circle that I've actually heard
Um,
people say, I'm not going to do New Year. And I definitely felt this year, I'm done. I'm not, it's they, those artificial constructs are there to have a glass of alcohol in your hand, hooling out for actually when you should be inside, hibernating, being by the fireside, looking after yourself, being, contemplating who you are and where you're going, and not actually out,
yeah.
and celebrating a false idea. And it was interesting. I was talking to Theo about it, and it's very, very simple. We all know this. The 8 is October, 9 is November, 10 is December. But October is the 10th month, November is the 11th month, and December is the 12th month.
Yeah.
It's one of the most obvious artificial overlays
Yeah.
once people see it. And it's quite clearly not the new year until things start coming up out of the ground.
Your life returns again. Yeah. To
Yeah. Yeah.
new life,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's interesting. My dad sent me a little email. It's lovely because I don't speak to my dad that much, but he said, "Oh, have you?" This is for the solstice, 21st of December, and he said, "Are you celebrating the returning of the light, Eli?" And I thought that was really beautiful because we've never really spoken on those terms before. But my dad gets it. He's got a lot of esoteric wisdom himself. But I just thought that was really beautiful because people are getting more in tune, and even my dad, who doesn't really talk about that stuff openly, he came out and he said that, and he said, it is about celebrating the returning of the light after there being a period of real darkness. And
Yeah, totally.
so I think we're moving into more alignment with the natural. And I don't know what you think about the sun at the moment, but the sun just seems to be crazy off the chart. It's so
Well,
powerful.
a lot of people saying it's gone more white, but it hasn't. It is white when you go in orbit and you see it from a craft in orbit. It's only through our atmosphere that it's more yellow, and it's because our atmosphere is changing a bit and Gaia's evolving and upgrading that we're actually seeing it as it's more natural light frequencies. So people kind of got it mixed up the wrong way around. They think it's more polluted that it's white, but it's actually its authentic self white.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
the atmosphere that gives it the tint. And some places that are polluted, it will give it a different tint to other places that are cleaner, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, and that's why it goes red when it sets, because it's going through more atmosphere and we see more of the red light waves and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sun, we've just gone through that 11-year cycle with the sunspots increased. We've just had the big butterfly sunspot. Did you see that?
No.
So look, we just had a massive sunspot appear, and it literally looked like a butterfly on the side of the sun, and
Wow.
that's denoting, blossoming and change and more spreading our wings and more. So even the universe is kind of giving us massive signs on the sun. The black spots are actually portals. It's a white hole and it goes to other parts of the universe. But the sun, provider of all our life and energies here,
Yeah.
as well as consciousness from source, is actually showing the way, and will be giving us more light. And as we absorb all of that, because it shines through us, we in turn will, evolve into those more holistic kind, loving systems, because we've gone through that cycle of toxicity, war,
Yeah.
revolution, chaos, and we're bored of that on the soul level. So
Yeah.
as more and more people have reached that point of awakenedness from having all those cumulative reincarnations, they're like, I'm not having this anymore. I'm going to do it this way, which is whatever that is, because it's not one set way.
Yeah.
It's what we all collectively kind of bring together.
Yeah, it's really interesting you say that, because there is definitely, I know there's never been an appetite for war, but there is a soul change, like you say, and it feels to me like there is no appetite for war. Like I ain't fucking doing it.
Yeah,
It's
we've
like,
been here so many times in the
it's
past.
just like it's over, and we're not going to send people off, to the front anymore, and we've got nothing to fight for except ourselves, and we're the most important people in our lives. So you can,
Yeah,
it's a very liberating period, to kind of know that all the calls have come out for us to go to war, and everyone's just going, "You're all right. Yeah, I'm busy."
yeah.
I'm,
No, thanks.
I'm talking to
Not
Bert next
today. I'm
door.
having a good life here, thanks. I don't want it to go
It.
downhill from now on.
We're talking about fence posts and building dwarf walls.
I say, if you want to get more, if you want to be injured more and be closer to death, then being a soldier is brilliant, because then you're closer to weapons that can kill you, and you're holding on to stuff, and then you're also confronting people who want to also kill you. So it's a really good way to end your life if you want to kind of get closer to those dangerous things. But really, I prefer a kind of much more peaceful life and a
Yes.
bit longer, with a lot more
Yes.
fun in
Yes.
there. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Suicide by soldiering.
yeah, just ridiculous.
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, no, it's yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see that there is just like no appetite whatsoever. And like you say, we've just evolved past that. There would have been a time where we'd have gone, yeah, we got to go and do this because someone's being bad and we need to be good. But now it's just like, well, no, actually, I'm good. I'm all good. I'm good.
Yeah, you're working for the Council of Foreign Relations. You're working for Davos. You're working for the. No, thanks. We're all right. We prefer to live, not die for you, scumbuckets.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, look, Matt, it's been great talking to you, and I love the way we gently move through things. We've come up to an hour, but
Oh, really?
yeah, I'd love to do another talk with you, and maybe talk about the cosmic situation a little bit more, where you're finding yourself with star teaching protocols, and how that's progressing, because we haven't mentioned your work really.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, this is the first podcast that I've done for a long time.
Oh,
I
right.
really appreciate you doing it. We're going I'll share all your links. And I believe somebody has told me, a little bird in my garden, that you might be coming to the Shine in August.
I certainly will be.
And
Try to stop me.
yeah, well, I think we did touch on it briefly, but I'd love you to bring the positive living, ethos, and maybe share that more,
That'd be great.
as a collaborative thing, and maybe have some real informational exchange, inspirational exchange there. Because it's great that we're creating these communities, and it's great to be able to sort of cross fertilize what we're doing. And I'd love to come down and see you again.
Yeah, please
I
do.
would invite you to Bristol, but
Come to the country.
yeah, come to the. Well, we could go a little bit outside Bristol. You come to Stanton Drew, which is only 20 minutes from my house, but going into Bristol, I don't know. You can't drive. You can't. They won't let you drive anywhere now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you just can't drive anywhere.
Oh,
Yeah, it's really bizarre. So but I'll come down and see you. That'd be much more exciting.
good.
So lots of love to you, Matt.
Lots of love. Nice to see you again.
Really good.
Nice
And I'll speak to you soon.
yeah, great. Take care.
Yes.